Antimicrobial resistance, or AMR, is a global health crisis. It happens when bacteria and microbes evolve to develop resistance and the ability to survive the drugs that we normally rely upon to destroy and kill them and stop their spread. At its core, AMR can be seen as a shared resource problem. Antimicrobial effectiveness is a limited resource. The more that we use antimicrobials, the less effective they become for the future. Everyone depends on them, but no one can manage them alone. Managing AMR means confronting three overlapping global dilemmas. First is overuse. People, farms, and health systems rely heavily on antimicrobials, but widespread use depletes their effectiveness. This is a classic commons dilemma, where short-term benefits for some come at the cost of long-term access for all of us. Second is unequal access. In many regions, people still lack access to effective antimicrobials. These gaps create vulnerabilities that allow diseases to spread, which is a weakest link problem. The global response is only as safe as the least protected person or the weakest link in the chain. And third is a lack of new drugs. Developing antimicrobials is expensive, and they're meant to be used sparingly, which generates little profits for pharmaceutical companies. This reveals an underlying volunteer's dilemma. Everyone hopes that someone will invest, but very few are willing to undertake the individual costs to produce a diffuse, socially beneficial good. AMR is not the only challenge where we see these dilemmas come up. Other shared resource challenges also contain similar aspects. For example, water, climate, and biodiversity all struggle with this question of who's going to protect the resource? How do we align local actions with global goals? And what mix of institutions, be they government, market, or community level institutions, will work in order to sustain the resource effectively and fairly. A recent publication studied 12 major environmental treaties to try to understand how different governance approaches have been mobilized to tackle shared resource problems. From these 12, we selected 3 case studies to highlight 3 different modes of governance. In climate change, we looked at market tools like carbon taxes and tradable permits, which have been used to try to curb carbon emissions. In water management, which relies heavily on public infrastructure and regulation, we looked at different ways that public institutions and governments could be more involved in solutions. And in biodiversity conservation, where community leadership and benefit sharing play key roles, we looked at community level and local level actions that were taken in order to preserve biodiversity. How does this help us reframe the way we think about AMR? Well, just like environmental governance, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. The most effective solutions usually combine 3 things: state action, like laws and investments, market incentives, like pricing and trading, and community participation, including stewardship and local governance. So what can we do with these findings? Well, addressing AMR requires the same kind of tailored mix of market, state, and community level action that's tailored specifically to the context where they're applied. And it's important to note that what works in one setting, like a tax on antimicrobial use, might not work in another. But the tools exist. They just need to be applied in ways that fit local conditions.